Alright, so now we need to put this here. Now I don't know. He's doing the kirtan. He's doing the kirtan before speakers start speaking. So if I want to see the other people, how do I see the other people?
Thank you so much, Ramananda, for singing such beautifully. So we'll start our program. This has been a long time coming, and I'm a bit nervous again. It feels like the first time I hosted. So I'll just do some chronometers and then we'll get started with our first speaker. First of all, I'd like to offer my humble obeisances onto the lotus feet of my our Srila Guru, Srila Narayana Swami Maharaj, and at the same time to my Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Jivan Acharya Goswami Maharaj. I just want to thank everyone for joining our program. We felt inspired somehow. Gurudev's kind of brought us back into this seva again somehow. So we're very fortunate that somehow Gurudev is keeping us in seva and holding on to us very tightly. And so just want to say thank you for everyone that's joining and taking part, because it's a big deal for us to hear the glories of, well, especially for me, to hear the glories of Srila Gurudev. So without further ado, and I won't take up time because I'm very conscious of the time because we've got a very strict schedule. I will hand over to our first speaker, Srila Bhaktivedanta Padmanabha Maharaj, who is a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada and took sannyas from Srila Gurudev. If you watch any of the videos, you'll see how close he is to Srila Gurudev and how much he understands Gurudev's mood. So it's a great honor and pleasure. Srila Padmanabha Maharaj, Hare Krishna, Dhanavad Pranam Maharaji.
Hare Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam. Can you hear me?
25.
You're good.
Sorry, Maharaj. We have 25 minutes and we can hear you well.
Okay.
And if there's any problems, I'll let you know in between.
Okay. Let's see. Everyone turn off your any sound.
I get only some.
Yeah. So Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jiva Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Shri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Gurudev's Transcendental Vyas Puja Mahamahotsav Titi Ki Jai. Srila Gurudeva Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramana. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinata. Can I get all the pictures on my screen of all the devotees? I'm only seeing you, Yashodhara.
It will be a setting, Maharaj, on your screen. It will say view. Are you using a laptop, Maharaj?
No, my phone.
Are you using a phone?
My phone.
If you can slide and you'll see some.
Okay. Now I'm seeing. There's no way to see all at once, huh? On the phone. Oh, no.
Or not on the phone, I think it's something on a laptop, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Maybe you could scroll to someone that you prefer looking at.
That's what I did just now. There is my dear Yashodanandan Prabhu, my dear Ramananda Prabhu, my dear Rasaraj Prabhu, and Harvey Woolgar. Don't know who that is. All right. Gurve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namo. So this day is the day before the TT, Transcendental Appearance Day, of our most revered, worshipful, beloved Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev. I'm very pleased to be given an opportunity to glorify my beloved Siksha Gurudev and to also be in this assembly of the Vaishnavas in doing so. So I will, without further ado, begin. And of course, it's not a very easy thing to do this in less than 25 minutes. But we will do the best that we can. I thought that I wanted to tell a little bit of my own story. Don't move around. So I was very fortunate when I was 18 years old. And even before that, I was searching in my life for answers and all the answers. And somehow, by causeless mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, I came in contact with my beloved Diksha Gurudev Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I was very fortunate to join his movement at such a young age and to do a lot of chanting and dancing on the streets and transcendental book distribution and service to him while he was present on the planet for 7 years, till he departed in 1977. And at that time, November 14th of 1977, I was personally with my beloved Guru Maharaj in his room when he performed his final pastime and departed from our physical vision. And when Srila Prabhupada was brought into the temple room in Vrindavan, Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir, and brought in front of the deities, then placed on the Vyasasana, and we stayed up the whole night with our Prabhupada, waiting for the morning light so that his samadhi could be performed. And when we began the first Guru Puja, with Srila Prabhupada sitting on the Vyasasana, there was a senior Vaishnava sannyasi who I had never seen before, and he was singing. He was doing the actual kirtan of our Srila Prabhupada, and I was very, very moved by his devotion in his voice and his presence and everything. So I asked one of my Indian-bodied godbrothers, do you know who is this sannyasi? And he said, yeah, this is Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj. I said, oh, that's Narayana Maharaj. Because I had heard his name from our Srila Prabhupada in the preceding days that he had called for him, he had wanted him to perform his final samadhi, all of the necessary rituals, and with his own hands place his body into samadhi. So now that personality was present with us, and for the next, 12, 15 hours, we were with him, he was with us. So after that experience, my heart was naturally drawn towards him. Although I didn't know anything about him, but I knew one thing, that my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, was very much inclined towards him and had great affection for him. And he had great affection for our Srila Prabhupada. That I could understand. So, after the disappearance of my Srila Prabhupada, I also had the good fortune to come in contact with my first Siksha Guru, Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, the godbrother of my Prabhupada, whom my Prabhupada directly told to the leaders of his movement before he departed that you can go to him for guidance, my godbrother. He also told that myself and he are the two persons who can write purports to the Srimad Bhagavatam in English language. So I met Srila Sridhar Maharaj in 1979, the first time, and was extremely impressed and very happy to have his purifying, uplifting Sangha. So then, over the period of years in the 1980s, I became closer and closer with Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And then toward the end of his manifest pastimes, then I also met personally Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj in 1988. And I went to see him for 3 days in Mathura in January of 1988. And then after that I came to see Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj here in Navadvip Dham at his Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat. And I stayed with him for about 1 week. And that was my final darshan with him. A number of months later, he also departed from this world. So then after that, from 1988 until the early 90s, I was associated with various godbrothers who also had a very deep appreciation of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj. So I had already met Srila Narayana Maharaj in 1988, and now for the next coming years, I was associating with him through his Vani. And then in 1994, I came to India for the first time to attend his Brajamandala Parikrama for the first time. And that year, Srila Narayana Goswami Maharaj was with us for the entire 1 month, and we went to various places. His temples were not yet constructed in Vrindavan, Govardhan, and so forth. So I was with him during that time period. And I was so deeply moved and impressed by his transcendental personality, his realizations, his moods, his example, his divine presence, everything impressed me so deeply. And I began to understand that this personality is actually a pure Rupanuga Vaishnava. Living, breathing Rupanuga Vaishnava. And I understood how fortunate I am to have his association. And his dealings with me and with various other senior devotees, Prabhupada disciples and so forth, were very, very sweet and very heart-rending. And after a couple of weeks of that Kartik month, I remember the distinct moment when we were walking towards the Nandagaon, Nandabhavan hill. We were coming from Uddhavakyadi and walking the whole long line of Vaishnavas. And Srila Narayana Maharaj was up ahead. And at that moment I thought to myself, there are many devotees in this world today who are lamenting because they never had an opportunity to meet Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And there are also many devotees who are lamenting that they never had a chance to meet Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. But if those devotees were here today, as I am doing, walking in this line of Vaishnavas behind Srila Narayana Maharaj and associating with him every single day, hearing all the beautiful, sweet pastimes of Braj Mandala and all of the transcendental Siddhanta of our Gaudiya Vaishnavas, those persons who are lamenting like that, their heart would be completely satisfied by his association. And little was I to know that for the next, from 1994 until 2010, when he departed from this world, I would have his continual association, traveling with him all over the world and witnessing and experiencing his divine uplifting association day after day, week after week, month after month. So I have so much to say about Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayana Maharaj, how he personally saved me. This is my testimonial. Actually, he's the one that gave me this very powerful association and really pulled me out. I was in household life at one stage of my life, and he completely, through transcendental, even a little bit of transcendental trickery sometimes, but he personally pulled me out from household life, and he engaged me in his service, and then he also gave me sannyas. And I remember that this was just like the verse, Vairagya yug bhakti rasam prayatnaya apayayan mam anabipsamantam kripam buddhir yak paradukka dukki sanatanastam prabhamashrayami. This is the verse written by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, glorifying Srila Sanatana Goswami and telling to Srila Sanatana Goswami how you have pulled me out from the darkness and the ignorance that I was so deeply embedded in. Of course, we know Raghunath Das Goswami was a perfected personality. But in his Naravat Leela, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they played this role, practically saving his life. Because after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami wanted to commit suicide. But he came to Braj and he saw Rupa and Sanatana. And as my Siksha Guru, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj tells, that he became so impressed that Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they treated him like brother. They nourished him, and they completely enriched his heart with all the nectar of all the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and the books that they were writing and everything. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he found new hope. Srila Sridhar Maharaj told, he could see that Mahaprabhu has not gone. Mahaprabhu is living like anything in Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So Raghunath Das Goswami wrote this famous pranam mantra to Sanatana Goswami, and my Guru Maharaj, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, when he received and took sannyas from his godbrother, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he also wrote and took part of that shloka. He composed a shloka, and he took part of that same shloka, his appreciation for Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, for actually forcibly giving him the nectar of Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya. So what is the meaning of this shloka? Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya Apayayan Mam Anubipsamam. I was unwilling to drink this, and I was not inclined to receive this nectar of Bhakti Rasa. But he forcibly made me to drink this. He gave this nectar, this Bhakti Rasa to me. Kripam Budhir Yak Paradukkaduki. Sanatana Goswami is the ocean of transcendental causeless mercy. And he feels so much suffering when he sees the sufferings of others. Kripam Budhir Yak Paradukkaduki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. My Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj, he played the same role in my life. Of course, not on that same level as Raghunath Das Goswami, but he was the agent who really saved me. And I'm going to tell a little bit about this. In 1997, beginning of 97, our Gurudev went for the first time to Malaysia and Eastern countries on his second world tour. First world tour was 96, and he went to Europe and America. Second world tour was 97, beginning of 97, end of 96. And he began his tour in Malaysia, went to Australia, then he went to Bali, and finally to Singapore, and then returned to India for Gaur Purnima. So on that tour, when Srila Gurudev, of course we had gone with him on the first tour in America. And sometimes he was asking me to stand and to speak something in the assembly of the Vaishnavas. So on this second tour, the Gurudev arrived at the airport, we went to pick him up. And then that evening, he was brought to a house that a devotee's relative was owning on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And Gurudev asked me to speak something to introduce him. And I remember that when he asked me to stand and speak, I began to glorify him, and I began to talk about him. And then I began to request him that please, if you can kindly accept my service. And I remember feeling a little bit choked up at that moment, and Gurudev looked at me. So the next morning, Gurudev went for a morning walk in a park nearby the house. And there were many new people who were seeing him for the first time, but we also had many senior devotees who had come on that tour, like Udara Prabhu, I don't know if Yashodanandan Prabhu was there, a number of senior devotees and also Prabhupada disciples. So he walked around the park and then he sat down in the park, and we all tried to sit close to him, and I was sitting more or less in front of him. He was sitting on a park bench, and we were all sitting down on the grass. First words out of his mouth, "So, Urukram Prabhu, are you preparing yourself for the renounced order of life?" And I was in a bit of shock, because I was at that time still wearing white cloth, although I had left family life, but I was wearing white cloth. And I did have a desire for that, even from my early years, that in the future, when I get older, I will take the sannyas order of life. But Gurudev suddenly, he confronted me. He said, "Are you preparing yourself?" My name was Urukramadas at that time, the name that Prabhupada gave me at initiation. And so then I answered and I said, "Well, yes, Srila Gurudev, I'm trying to prepare myself." And in my mind, I was thinking, oh yeah, so quite some years down the road like this. So then Gurudev said, very good. I want to give you sannyas in Gaur Purnima time. That was actually 2.5 months later. So during the Navadvip at Gaur Purnima, I want to give you sannyas. And then everyone was speechless and in shock, and so was I. So then he said to me, do you know Dasmul Tattva? And I said, well, yes, I've read Dasmul Tattva in one of the translations from the Gaudiya Mat of the Jaiva Dharma of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then he said, do you know the shloka? I said, no. Then he told one of his assistants to tell the shloka. And he told that shloka, Amnaya Prahatatvam Harimira Paramam Sarva Shaktim Rasabdim, and which tells all the 10 tattvas. And then Gurudev said, if you want to preach, you must preach Dasmul, the 10 essential principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. So then there was a pause, and then Gurudev said, prepare yourself. Very soon, I want to give you sannyas. So then he became silent. So then I thought to myself, this is a good opportunity to lighten the atmosphere. So I said, Srila Gurudev, you also put pressure on my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, that he should also take sannyas. Then he looked at me very seriously. He said, yes, and he accepted my advice. And you are his disciple, so you should also accept my advice. Be prepared. And that was that. So the years went by, and Srila Gurudev actually told me a little bit later when we went to Australia, he said, first I will give you saffron cloth, and then after some time, then I will give you sannyas. I will give you vanaprastha and then sannyas. So that was like, okay. And then sometimes Gurudev, I remember he saw me in his room in Australia one day, and he said, you should not be afraid to take sannyas. Because when that day comes, it will be a very happy day for you. I remembered that for the next, 1997 until 2002. So that was about 5 more years. And on the day when he gave me sannyas in the Devananda Gaudiya Mat, 2002, Gaur Purnima, we came upstairs to his room early that morning. There were 2 of us. My godbrother, Dristadumna Prabhu, also took sannyas with me. And then Gurudev asked us, where's your names? He wanted us to choose a name, and he wanted us to give 3 alternative names from the list of 108 sannyas names. So I chose Padmanabha. But Madhav Maharaj was in the room doing things, and when Gurudev read the name Padmanabha and he liked that, then Madhav Maharaj tried to speak with him in Bengali, and they were going back and forth, back and forth. And Madhav Maharaj was trying to say that actually that name was already a Bhaktivedanta Padmanabha of one of the disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who was very prominent, I think. So then Gurudev said, but he has passed away a long time ago. So anyway, Padmanabha, I like that name. So then he gave us the names and then he gave us the sannyas mantra. And he had us repeat the sannyas mantra. And after that, then the ceremony was complete. So then I looked at Gurudev, who was sitting up higher on the bed, and I said to him, Srila Gurudev, you predicted years ago that on the day when I would take sannyas would be a very happy day for me. And I just want to tell you, Gurudev, it is a happy day. What you've how you have made this come about in my life. And then I said to Gurudev, you saved me. He said, yes, I've saved you. So this is Gurudev's contribution to the world, that he has come to save everyone. And how to do that? Through his Harikatha, through his continuous merciful association, through his books, through his traveling the whole world, 32 world tours in his final days on this planet. How Gurudev opened his heart and accepted all of us and gave so much mercy. And I remember Gurudev would have hundreds of people at his programs, and then he would be walking away after the evening program, and there would be devotees lined up, and Gurudev would speak to almost every single devotee, say something, give some mercy to them. Shamarani tells the story. Okay, we got 1 minute. Shamarani tells the story. No, it's till 12:55, not 1 o'clock. So anyway, I'm just telling this as the last. Shamarani tells the story that here in India one time, Gurudev was coming from his Vyasasan, and there were all the people lined up, and there was one old man who was trying to come there and who was trying to touch Gurudev's feet, but somehow he was getting pushed out of the way. And then suddenly, Gurudev saw the man, and he came up to him, and the man was still trying, so Gurudev raised his foot up so that the man could touch his feet. Such mercy, Srila Gurudev. So I'm completing my Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, and I'm saying that the same verse, Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya, I feel the same way toward our beloved Gurudev, that really he forced me, and he was so merciful to force me. So I eternally bow down in the dust of his divine lotus feet, and I pray for his causeless mercy, so that I can become a worthy disciple and a worthy servant of his. Vancha kalpatarubhascha, kripa sindhubheva, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo.
Thank you so much, Padmanabha Maharaj. It was absolutely beautiful. And, I only had a very small interaction with Srila Gurudev. But I've seen so many videos where you guys have gone on morning walks together, and the way he reciprocates, how was reciprocating with you. You could see the love between the both of you. You could see that through the video. So, what to imagine what it was like in real life. One thing is that Gurudev saved me, and I'm sure everyone else can say the same for themselves, that Gurudev's come and picked us out and saved us. So I'm just very grateful for that. I think Yashodananda Prabhu wants to add something.
That was very intuitive of you, Yashodari. I'm not MC right now, but I couldn't help reach out to Padmanabha Maharaj and say, when we organize these things, it's all transcendently orchestrated, because we don't really know. We put together the day, and then people come in late, and at the beginning and the end, and we don't know how it's going to end up. So the fact that you came first, I was so happy because of your association with so many amazing acharyas, and obviously with my Srila Gurudev, and I'm so grateful to you that you so expertly presenced in heart and in brain, like both sides of the mind. You emotionally but also logically presenced Srila Gurudev's absolute magnificence and munificence, and you've really kicked off the whole program beautifully. So I'm really touched. Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing so beautifully and so expertly and transmitting Gurudev's mercy to us all at the beginning of this program.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Jai Srila Gurudev Ki.
Jai. So now we'll move over to another senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who also took shelter of Srila Gurudev. And he's a wonderful devotee. Every time I've spent time with him in London, he's always given some way of understanding Srila Gurudev in a different way, in a different light. So I'm always eternally grateful to all of Srila Prabhupada's disciples that have guided me. It's none other than our Sriman Jivan Bhavan Prabhu from London. Hari Bol, and what pronouns from G?
Hare Krishna. Sound is alright?
Sounds alright. I can see you. There we go. Yeah, that's okay. I love your background.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, sorry I missed the very beginning of your Pushpanjali. I was struggling.
Where's Madhvi?
Difficulties on the connection.
Oh.
So, first of all, I want to offer my respectful obeisances to
We're not finished.
Acharya, his kind
Not
and
finished.
teacher, his Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, who mercifully picked me up from this ocean of material existence. And I want to offer my
You can translate what he's saying.
obeisances unto my Parama Guru Dev, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Thakur, the founder Acharya of the Gaudiya Math. Equally, I offer my obeisances to Srila Gurudev and to who is my Shiksha Diksha Guru. Diksha in the sense that he actually brought me closer to my spiritual masters, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and Shiksha in that by
I think
his
you can turn it off.
sweet association and divine.
How do I mute? I don't think there's a way to do it.
Or you can connect the headphones and then...
I don't have my headphone. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just leave the group right now, and then I'll connect later. It's all right. I'll just leave the group right now. Okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? Leave, okay. Leave. Okay. Done. All right, I want to read something from Gurudev to you. This will only take a few minutes. Did you tell them that?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, Srila Gurudev spoke these words in 2005. He was in Hawaii. I was also with him there when he spoke these words. But he was telling in a very humble way how he came to the lotus feet of his Guru Maharaj. And here in his samadhi, you see the actual diorama of him meeting his Gurudev, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, for the first time. So, and Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj is standing and he's kneeling in front of him. And they both have their arms like this. So Gurudev is referring to this from this first meeting with his Guru Maharaj. First time. And how his relationship developed with him. So here's what Gurudev told. He said, I was not a learned person. Whatever understandings that I have today, I received by the special mercy of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. I gave my whole heart to my Gurudev, and I offered all that I possessed at his lotus feet. And when I joined the Mat, I told my Gurudev, I am giving my heart to you. I am giving you the love and the affection that I had for my wife, for my children, my father, and everything else. I am taking that love and affection and in total surrender, I am placing it at your lotus feet. He heard my words and he accepted them. Tears came into his eyes and he wept, saying, until now, no one has told me this. So I thus received his causeless mercy. Now, only because of that mercy, people all over the world are hearing from me. If you surrender to your Gurudev, you will receive everything you require to attain the perfection of life and also to make others perfect. No material knowledge is needed. So these are the words that our Gurudev spoke on the day of his Vyas Puja in Hawaii in 2005. And I've also heard him tell how he came to his Gurudev on a number of other occasions. I also heard him tell how he surrendered everything at the feet of his Gurudev. He also would say that the other God brothers of his, they would tell to him, we could not do what you did. We could not do what you did. How you actually took everything and surrendered completely. And that's why Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj had tears in his eyes. And that's why he told him, up till now, no one has told me this. So that relationship, he's telling him, because of that surrender to his Guru, now he can travel everywhere and everyone is hearing from him. All realization, all perfection has come from that. He started by saying, I was not a learned person. Meaning he didn't go to university and so forth. He did not study so many shastras. But of course, after he came to his Guru Maharaj, then he became extremely learned. Extreme. But even more, he had realization. Full realization. So transcendental knowledge is not book knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is only transmitted from the heart of Sri Guru to the disciple when the disciple surrenders to Guru. Then mercy, transcendental knowledge is received. So that's all we're going to tell now. Tomorrow is the actual day of Gurudev's Vyasa Puja. Here at the temple, they're going to have a very big festival. And I don't know yet, but possibly we may go to Mayapur and see if there may be some opportunity to have a program at one of the devotees' houses there. We will see. What?
Sarva Bhavana.
Sarva Bhavana?
He's also in my home.
Oh, Sarabhavana, who
Yes.
lives in Germany.
Oh, he's now in my home.
He doesn't live in Germany anymore?
He's also going to Germany from time to time.
Yeah, okay. So now his base is in Manipur. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's there.
For how long has he been there?
I think he's there since some months. I don't know.
Okay,
I met him 2-3 weeks before.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anyway, we have some plan, and I will talk with Madhukar and also with Vaijanti Mala. And we will see if there is some. But for sure, I will be speaking in English tomorrow at some point. If we don't go there, I'll be speaking here.
Is it morning time in the tent or
No,
speaks in?
because it will all be in Bengali
Okay.
in the temple.
Okay.
But definitely I will be speaking in English. And there's so much to tell. So much to tell.
That means tomorrow at 10
Tomorrow. We don't know yet what time. We will give the message to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay? Whether we go to Mayapur or whether we are here, I will definitely speak a lot in English language. Okay? So we will see what Krishna arranges.
Okay.
Okay. Gaur Premanand. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Jiv Ki Jai, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Jai Gaura Vrindai Tulsi Depai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Sajavachan Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava